Hey everybody, it's James from the Fit RV, and today I'm going to show you how to add comfort and breathability to your RV's mattress by installing bed slats. Don't worry, it's easy. So why would you want to do this? Well, there are two main reasons I can think of. The first is comfort. A lot of times an RV mattress is just a chunk of foam on a slab of plywood. Now, it gets the job done, but it's not like what you're sleeping on at home, right? By adding slats, you get a layer of wood flexes. You get a little bit of sprung support under your mattress, and that increases comfort. We have slat beds at home. We think they're fine. The second reason you'd want to do it has to do with airflow under the mattress. If you RV someplace where it's humid, or if you sweat while you sleep, that gets into the mattress, and you don't want to trap that against it can get kind of funky. So comfort and airflow is why you'd want to do this. Okay, a quick word about the slats. Now, I just bought these slats. They came from IKEA. They're called Leroy, whatever. And I bought them. And the reason I bought them is three reasons. I'm perfectly capable of making slats of wood here in the shop, but not everybody has a shop, and I wanted anyone to be able to do this. Anyone can go online and find some bed slats that are approximately the right dimensions for your RV's bed, and then order them and continue on. Second reason is these slats, I don't know if you can tell from that, I'll show this close up. These slats are sprung, they're bent in the middle to give a little bit of spring, additional spring to the wood. Now, I can do a bent lamination. I've done it on other pieces of furniture I've made, but it's very, very time consuming as a one-person shop to be able to do that. These come already bent. Score! Third reason is these are pre-finished, and if there is one area where I am lazy with my woodworking, it's in the finishing. So anytime I can get something pre-finished, that's kind of a win. So enough talking, let's get outside and show you the patient. Okay, this is the bed in our RV Lance, and it's actually already got the Froley sleep system on there, which does the same things that the slats do. I mean, it provides some spring and it keeps the mattress elevated up off the slab. But I've gotten to, while I like the comfort, I'm not so crazy about it snagging the sheets every time. You ever try to roll over and it's like, it's like the worst bed partner in the world because it grabs onto the sheets and then you can't move them when you roll over. So I've gotten kind of tired of it snagging the sheets. So the first thing I need to do is remove this, and this is going to be hard because I've added all these little silicone nubs to try to keep these from coming off, which they do with alarming regularity. So I got a little bit of a chore ahead to remove this, but that's next. So here we go. There's a couple hundred of these, so I don't know how many you need. All right, these are pokey. Plastic pry tools, extremely handy. I'll try to put a link in the article if you don't have some. Highly recommended. Okay, I'm making this up as I go, just in case that's not obvious. So I've laid just one of the sets of slats, and I've got two sets. If you're thinking, oh, he's too short, I've got two sets. I've laid one of them out here on the bed just to kind of get a feel for how this might go together. And you could try to screw them down directly to the bed frame, but that would tend to take out some of the, if you screw it down tightly, it's going to take out some of the curve of the slats and reduce the amount of air you could get underneath it. So what I think I'm going to do is elevate it on blocks, kind of like I've got this side over here, right? So that, and I'll wind up cutting into these blocks a little bit to make a bed for this to rest in, and they won't be this wide either. And then we'll do that. And I think I've got some cedar left over from another project, so it's a nice aromatic, decay resistant kind of wood. That'll work out fine. The other thing I've got to be concerned with I got to remove this. Hold on, come back. The other thing I've got to be concerned with is that this bed is hinged. You see, it bends like that. And so I can't, obviously, I've got to have a break in what I'm putting in, and I can't get the two things too close to each other, or, I mean, if I did that right, I wouldn't be able to bend the bed. So I've got to keep these at least 3/4 of an inch out of the center of the crease in order that the bed will still raise and lower. So I got to work that out too. So there's a little head scratching, and then we'll come back with a game plan. All right, I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the support pieces that are right along that hinge so I can make sure I've got that right rather than install everything and then find out I can't put the bed up. So we're going to start with that. This is the leftover cedar I had, but it's rough cedar. It's from when I did the trim in the shop and stuff. So what I'm going to do is first cut these to length and then smooth this part out because I don't need that rustic look up in the lance. And then we'll take them out for a test fit. All right, here we go. Okay, so where those two pieces come together, it looks like they're going to clear, but in case they don't, I'm going to take off a little 45-degree chunk on the two meeting corners so they have plenty of room. I'm going to do that here on the router table. Okay, so here's the thing with the slats. They're not flat, as I pointed out before. So where they come into the ends where they're going to sit on the side blocks there, they come in at a little bit of an angle, and as best as I can measure that angle, and I'm assuming it's a constant radius curve, it's about 6 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little 6-degree pocket lengthwise into these boards so that when that comes in at 6 degrees, you know, it'll fit into that pocket and sit nice and flush with the top. I'm going to do that with a couple cuts on the table saw. Now, you don't have to do this to make this work. I mean, cedar's a nice softwood. I could probably just screw them down and it would dent the cedar and they'd sit fine. You don't have to do it. I'm doing it because I can. I'm bored. It's fun. Anyway, couple long rip cuts on the table saw and we'll be good to go. All right, so I've got these first two pieces cut and ready to go. So I'm just going to start drilling and screwing them down. This is a countersinks with a depth stop. make sure it fits. No problem at all. All right. Cool. So now we can start tackling some of these other pieces. I just got to measure them and cut them. Are you really filming me thinking this out loud? Okay, and that's gonna do it for these side rails. Your bed shape in whatever RV you're working on will undoubtedly be less complex than this one. I had a hinge, I had these rounded corners and angles, and it's kind of involved getting them up there, but basically that's what you want to do. You want to get pieces on the sides, and then we're just going to cut the slats to fit in between them, which of course, since I have this complicated shape, I'll have angles and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. So next it's on to the slats. Okay, so cutting these things, I've been playing around with it, and it might seem like a cool idea to stack them all up and cut them at once, but that never works out well. So what I'm going to do is separate them. And you don't really want to try to remove these. I did a few of them, and these are like the staples from Hades. I don't know what the deal is. So I'm going to cut between, on the skinny side of the bed, it's 14¼ inches. So I'm going to cut the middle 14¼ inches out of this thing. And I'm going to do that over on the chop saw. So I have to set my blade back because I'm making a tool, because I had it tilted to cut the angled rip on that thing. But the way I set my blade might be interesting to folks, so I thought I would show you. I have this little tilt box, right? So I run the blade all the way up. There's the tilt box. It's at 0 degrees on the table. Okay, then I put it on the blade. And I adjust until I get to 90. Ta-da! I've set the rip fence at 2 11/16. Why? Because that's the spacing between the slats, and I figured that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a little gauge. It's 2 11/16, so when I'm installing the slats, since I no longer have that handy dandy webbing on there, I know how far apart to put them. So here we go. check that against these. Looks good. Putting these things in, let's see, where's my gauge block? It's up here. A helpful tip is to don't start at one end and work your way down to the other, because the spacing, little variations are going to happen. And what you'd find if you did that is you'd got to the other and you had like a half a slat hanging off the end of the things, right? So what you do is you start at either end and work towards the middle. That way if there's any weird spacing, it's here in the middle where it won't be as noticeable. So that's what we're going to do. That's that half done. All right, I think we're done. It's time to clean up. Okay. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It wasn't really too bad. This bed was more challenging than probably most other RV beds because I had all these angled cuts to make. If I didn't have that, if it was a square, rectangular kind of bed, this would have gone a lot quicker, but it's not too difficult. The hardest thing about it is cutting those side pieces, and even those, you don't have to cut them as hard as I did. So anyway, that's going to do it for this project. I'm looking forward to getting out on the road one of these days and putting it to use. This is James from the Fit RV. See you later. Bye.